Living Life with Dr. John Paul James. And it's a pleasure to have you here in our audience and also watching us from around the world. Listen, there's going to be a great show at the end of the year. We're at the end of 2022. And it's significant for me because we're going into 2023 and we really want to talk about a little bit about what that means. And we talk about a little bit more about love, self-love, identity, going into relationships, people being able to understand who they are, right? Because before you can give yourself away to anybody, you kind of got to own yourself. You got to know who you are before you can entangle yourself into another person. One of the biggest things that I want to bring to your attention today is the fact that 2023, what it really represents, it represents change, progress, and innovation. So in terms of neurology, the number 23 signifies new beginnings and revolution and transformation. So this is going to be an extremely powerful situation for all of us that's here today. And so what we want to do is get right into it. One of the first things, though, before we bring our guests on, and we've got some powerful guests here. We've got, for our audience, Jeffrey Anderson, and then we also have Octavia McClary, who's going to be coming on, one of the gospel artists in the city, around the city. But before we get into that, there's something I really want us to really understand, and that is when we talk about what is self-love. Remember, we talked about before you get into a relationship, you've got to be able to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, then you really can't get into the relationship. And so what we're going to do is we put it on the screen because I really want you to kind of look at that and understand a little more when we talk about what self-love is. All right, so we talk about self-love, and people talk about self-love a lot these days, and it sounds great, but what does it actually mean? And then how do we love ourselves? And also want to answer, how does it matter? So self-love means that that you accept yourself, first of all, fully, that you treat yourself with kindness and respect, and also nurture your growth and well-being. Now, self-love encompasses not only how you treat yourself, but also your thoughts and feelings about yourself. Now, this is very important. So when you conceptualize self-love, you can try to imagine what it would be like to love yourself, what it would be like to be yourself, or what do you want to do for yourself. Now, how would you talk to yourself? How would you feel about yourself again? That reflects love and also concern. Now, when you love yourself, you have an overall positive view of yourself. This doesn't mean that you feel positive about yourself all the time. That would be unrealistic. For example, I can temporarily feel upset, be angry, or disappointed with myself and still love myself. Now, if this is confusing, think about how it works in other relationships. Now, I can love my son even though I sometimes feel angry or disappointed with him. And even in the midst of my anger and disappointment, my love for him informs how I relate to him. And so it allows me to forgive him. It allows me to consider his feelings. It allows me to meet his needs and also to make decisions that will support his well-being. Now, just think about that also in your romantic relationships, that when you're disappointed in a particular person, they let you down, right? They let you down. And in the midst of your anger and in the midst of your disappointment, that love that you have for that person informs you how you're going to relate to that person. It allows you to forgive that person, especially when that person has extremely let you down. They disappointed you. It hurts, but it gives you an ability to forgive them and also consider their feelings, meet their needs, and also make decisions that's going to support their well-being. And so self-love is very much the same, which means if you know how to love others, you got to, first of all, know how to love yourself. Now, if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to know, brothers and sisters, how to love anybody else. Now, I want to give you some examples of what self-love looks like, because we can say a lot of things, but what does self-love really looks like? Now, saying positive things to yourself. That's what love looks like. Self-love looks like forgiving yourself when you mess up. Forgiving yourself when you mess up, meeting your own needs, being assertive. Now, doesn't that sound a lot like what happens when you're in a relationship with another person? Now, think about this. Saying positive things to yourself, being able to say positive things to another person. Forgiving yourself when you mess up, but also being able to give the person that you say you're in love with when they mess up. meeting your own needs, being assertive, not letting others take advantage or abuse you, prioritizing your health and well-being, spending time around people who support you and build you up, and avoiding people who don't. Self-love looks like asking for help, letting go grudges and anger that holds you back, recognizing your strengths, valuing your feelings, making healthy choices most of the time, living in accordance with your values, and pursuing your interests and your goals. Now, there's something else there. Challenging yourself. Now, remember that relationships act like mirrors, so they kind of tell you what's good and what's bad about yourself. You don't want to be in a relationship with a person and not feel challenged by the person, because if you're not challenged by the person, then you don't really grow. So what you want to do is you always want to be challenged, because that's how you're going to grow. Messing up sometimes just comes with life. You mess up, I mess up, people just mess up. But that forgiveness is a powerful tool. Now remember something, forgiveness actually says, I don't hold this over your head. It's like releasing the person and starting over as if nothing ever happened before. Now, the problem with a lot of people is they don't really forgive themselves, so it's very difficult for them to forgive another person. So self-love is going to be important for that. Giving yourself healthy treats, accepting your imperfections, as well as you accept other people's imperfections, setting realistic expectations for yourself, noticing your progress and your effort. And so why do we need to love ourselves? Now, if you grow up without any models of self-love or anyone who talks about the importance of being good to yourself, you might question its value. Now, well, without self-love, you're likely to be high self-critical and fall into people-pleasing and perfectionism if you don't love yourself. Now, you're more likely to tolerate abuse or mistreatment from others if you don't love yourself. You may neglect your own needs and feelings and don't value yourself if you don't love yourself. And you may also sabotage or self-sabotage rather, or make decisions that aren't in your own best interest. So it's important for you to be able to love yourself. Now, you've seen people, they kind of self-sabotage. They don't wait for the devil to do it. They don't wait for you to do it. They talk themselves out of things, right? They talk themselves out of things, or there are things that they just don't do because they don't feel as if they can. They don't feel if they can. They're not always up for the challenges of life. Now, this is a very important part before our guests come that I want to get there, because you can have self-love, but what about being narcissistic? Mm-hmm. Because some people may think that because you love yourself, you may have a tad bit of narcissism in there. So that's going to be important for us to deal with that. And as a therapist, I wouldn't be very good for you today if I really have not distinguished the difference between self-love versus narcissism. Yes. All right? Because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be in love with them because they're narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Well, there are some narcissistic tendencies in all of us, first of all. Yeah. The second thing is, everybody's not narcissistic. So let's look at self-love versus narcissism. Now, in addition to questioning whether self-love is necessary, another big barrier to self-love is belief that is narcissistic or selfish. Now, when psychologists and therapists encourage self-love, they aren't talking about putting yourself on a pedestal above everyone else. Narcissists, brothers and sisters, believe that they're better than others and won't acknowledge or take responsibilities for their mistakes and their flaws. But can I tell you something else? If a person is narcissistic and you point out a flaw, they hate to say that you're right. That's right. They do not want you to tell them what they're not. Whatever they believe, they want you to believe it too. And if you don't believe it, they are going to turn around and watch these words I'm telling you, they're going to be nasty to you, right? They're going to be like that I'm going to get you back kind of scenario. That's what happens when you talk about narcissism. Now, narcissists believe that they're better. They don't take responsibility or acknowledge their flaws. They also seek extraneous amounts of eternal validation and recognition. Yeah. Now, if you spend a lot of time in a relationship and you got to give a lot of validation to that person and a lot of recognition to that person, it will wear you out. Yes. Now, a lot of us have been in relationships where people really need you to validate them consistently. They need you to tell them, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about you. You're pretty, you're pretty, you're pretty. You're handsome, you're handsome, you're handsome. and it wears on the relationship. Now, narcissists also lack empathy for others.
Yes.
That's another point when you know. So self-love, on the other hand, isn't about showing off how great you are. Now, people who love themselves in a healthy way, that they are flawed and make mistakes, and they accept and also care about themselves despite their imperfections. Self-love doesn't prevent you from caring about others. It simply means you give yourself the same kindness that you give others. Now, you got to put self-love into practice. I want to quickly move over to identity, because before our guests come on the stage, this is going to be important too. Because you can't be in a relationship with a person who doesn't know who they are. If they don't know who they are, then you're not going to begin to enjoy them. Now, what is identity and why does it matter? This is going to be important too. An identity is who or what a person or thing is. Your identity is how you define yourself. It is also how others define you. And so these definitions are often not the same. And that's why we talk about self-esteem and probably don't always realize how important it is to health and well-being. Now, what is the true meaning of identity? Identity is the unique set of characteristics that can be used to identify a person as themselves and no one else. So the word can be used in different ways and also in different contexts. So on a personal level, identity often refers to a person's sense of self, meaning how they view themselves as compared to other people. Now, have you ever seen people who are always, you're out with them and they compare themselves to your ex? Or they compare themselves to the lady at the other table or the guy at the other table? You have to be looking, just staring out. In their mind, you're looking at somebody else. And in mind, you want something else, right? They are not confident in who they are and who's sitting in front of them. And it's kind of a problem when you go out and you can't enjoy them because they'll always want to know who you're looking at, or your dinner is interrupted because now they're angry at you because they feel you're giving somebody else attention and not them. Self-love and also identity is very important. So what's the deep meaning of identity? Identity encompasses the memories, the experiences, the relationships, and values that create one's self. Also, understand it creates a steady sense of who one is over time, even as facets are developed and incorporated in one's identity. Now, your identity, when we talk about what defines an identity, personality traits, abilities, likes, dislikes. Now, Dr. James, why is that important? Because sometimes we end up with people who don't know what they like. They like what you like. They like what you like, and when you ask them what do they like, they have no idea. Isn't that frustrating? They don't know where they want to eat. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know anything. You become the main planner. Now, a lot of us are tired of always being what? The main planner. You got to plan everything. You got to arrange everything because they have no idea about their likes and their dislikes, and they kind of want you to do that and bring it out. Your belief system and your moral code and the things that motivate you, and also all the things that contribute to your self-image and unique identity as a person. So people understand something. Your character, your integrity, your name, all of these go there. Now that we talked about all of that, I've got some super guests, and we're going to bring them on. The first person we're going to bring on is a super guy, a man's man, a powerful guy, an executive, and his name is Jeffrey Anderson. Jeff, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Look at you, Jeff. You're pretty sharp there.
Not as sharp as you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love those shoes, too. So, Jeff, you heard us talk a lot about self-love, identity as a bachelor, as probably one on the top list of wanted bachelors in the city. Tell me something about your experiences with women as relates to, have you found it difficult to date a person and find out that they don't love themselves? How has it been? How has the experience been for you?
I haven't found many people who don't love themselves. I mean, everyone I've dated so far has been pretty confident, maybe a little overconfident at times.
Okay.
Um,
Tad bit narcissistic, you think?
kind of, sort of, yes.
Kind of narcissistic. Have you ever found that they're more selfish? You know, dating women who seems to be a little more selfish, or sometimes unforgiving.
Selfish to a point. I know we all are busy and we got things to do, we got lives to lead, but sometimes just carving out that special time for each other, sometimes that can be a problem.
So you find that in relationships, time is an issue.
Yes.
Time is an issue.
Yes.
What what would an eligible bachelor like yourself be looking for? What kind of woman are you looking for?
That's, you done put me on the spot.
What kind of qualities are you looking for? When you talk about the identity, we talked about identity, character, integrity,
Okay.
personality.
Bubbly personality,
Okay.
charming, someone who practices self-love,
Okay.
forgiving,
Forgiving.
definitely forgiving.
Okay.
Someone who wants to have fun.
Someone who wants to have fun.
Yes. Sometimes I tend to get quiet sometimes, but someone who's not going to be, like intimidated by my silence sometimes. Sometimes I'll sit in the house and I'll just watch TV and there's nothing wrong, I'm just watching TV. But someone who is comfortable in my silence sometimes. Kind of stuff like that.
So, hold your attention.
Yes.
You need her to hold. You need her to be confident in herself that she can hold your attention.
Yes.
What about when you're at the dinner table and you see something, because our eyes do see things. Have you found that that's been a big issue with women in terms of what you're looking at?
Not in general, not for me. Back when I was married, I did get in some hot water because I was looking in one direction and someone kept passing, but I wasn't like turning my head to look. But she got mad at me.
Well, I like shapes. So I may look. I'm pretty sure I do.
Well, when I'm with my woman, I'm not gonna like make it obvious.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
be
stare.
turning my head. But if
Of course, you're not gonna stare.
But if someone-
I got some guys here. They may be staring. I don't know. But I think women look too.
They do.
Yes.
Women look too.
Yes.
It's always
Yes.
us though. Why is it always us that women are so mad at when things are going on? Because you
Yes.
look, women look all the time, and
Yes.
I don't get mad. I think again, that's when you are short of who you are, right?
Oh, I'm definitely confident.
All right. So let's talk a little more about that. What about if you meet a woman who seems to be confident, right? And she's ready to have sex on the first date.
I'm leery.
Let's talk about that one. Why are you leery, Jeff?
I'm just kind of scared about that. It came too fast and too easy. So I'm worried. I don't know why. I just think it's yeah.
Well, okay, so that's a two-way street for me.
I mean, I'm not opposed, but I'm still worried. I mean,
No,
it might not go any further.
no. That may be a person's MO and how they attach. That may be that for them. But it can also be, there's such thing as love at first sight, where your eyes are dilating, everything about you psychologically, physiologically, emotionally is going off at one time, and you don't want to lose the person. And so, have you ever been in a room and you saw a woman and your eyes followed her all over the room? You just knew you were going to talk to her.
I don't think that is love at first sight. It might be something. Lust. Being honest.
It might be lust.
It might be lust at first sight.
Yeah, there you
Now,
go.
some people call it lust, but actually, love can be present, and love can grow. So love operates like peeling an onion. There are stages to it, but it does exist. Love exists as acceptance at first. So it's kind of like God so loved the world that He what gave. He so loved the world that He gave. So the first thing He wanted to do is to accept. He loved us, no matter what state we're in. So love can be present, but I think there's stages to that.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's stages to that because you can love them as a female associate,
As a friend.
and as a friend, and then the first is an associate,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second stage probably is a friend. So there's a bunch of Greek words that we talked about last time that does all of that, and then they go into the Philadandros, which becomes the wife, right? So there are a bunch of things. So I'm interested in something else. So Jeff, you said if she gives you sex on the first date, you're leery. But what about if she takes a month?
That's acceptable too.
That's acceptable?
Yes.
Most guys don't wait a month.
A year.
A year?
A year.
Yeah.
Oh, now.
And that's a
not
lot
gonna
for
work.
you.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so in 2023, tell me what do you feel, since this is a year of innovation, a year of beginnings for everybody, tell me what you're looking forward to as it relates to relationships. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to finding someone who wants to travel with me. I want to do more traveling.
You've been to a lot of countries. You've been to a lot of places.
I've been to a few, not a lot. Yeah, not a lot. Not as some. I have some friends who are always traveling, but they take those long flights. I don't like.
You don't like long flights.
I'll go, but I don't like them. Them 10-hour flights, no. Yeah.
Okay, if you were on a show, a bachelor show, what is a question that you don't want them to ask you?
Wow, you've been good today.
They ask a lot of questions, but what
Okay.
is it? Go ahead.
If I've ever been in true love, real love,
You don't want them to ask you that.
I've had to ask myself that.
Okay.
Actually, I've asked myself that here in the last few months.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right, that hit hard. I'm sure if she was watching, she would say, wow. I'm sure that hits hard. Listen, Jeffrey Anderson is a top-notch guy and a great catch as far as we're concerned. And he checks off all the spots. So women, Jeffrey Anderson. Let's give it up for Jeffrey Anderson. All right, so the next we have is, you can sit there, Jeff, because I want to bring this pretty lady on. The next we have is a gospel artist star in the DC, DMV area. Now, she's also internationally known. She's doing some traveling. Some of her songs are out. She's done great. And soon you're going to see her come to the show and do some singing for us the next time. But I want to bring on the set today Octavia McClary. Let's give it up for her. She's coming on. It's great to have you on. Hey, baby girl. All right. Now you heard us talk about. Now I'm really from your age bracket, because you're in the 30s.
Yes.
All right. I really want to talk about this for a moment. Let's go back to what we first talked about in terms of. Let's go to self-love.
Okay.
All right. Talk to me about, in your age bracket, about self-love and how important do you find people in your age talking about that?
Well, often, first of all, thank you for having me. Often, we, in my age bracket, are dealing with identity, and I heard you mention that as well. And that's just the figuring out who we are, what we want, why we want. And most of our identity stems from the fact that we have social media now.
Okay.
What we see, what we want to be, what we want to portray is based on what we have been shown is acceptable. So in that moment of self-love, we're trying to figure that out. How do we love ourselves and accept all that comes with who we are, especially as women, considering now we're getting more accolades and more opportunities to do more things to be successful, more opportunities to actually, enjoy relationships, dating, and it's okay now as women to date frequently. You don't have to just be with one person and just stick with that one person based on how social media presents it.
Now, I heard you say that you're really thinking about identity. Your age bracket is really talking about who they are. Are they aware of where they get their identity from? Do you think they're aware of it?
I think they are aware that they need to find it because they realize that they are looking for those that approval from other people and from what they say.
All right. So one of the things identity comes from, really comes from all of us, from our father. That's first of all. Secondly, internal and external factors like society, family, loved ones, ethnicity, race, culture, opportunities, interest, and also self-expression and life experiences. Because what I would also say is that identity can change. So you can start off identifying yourself this way, and then as you have experiences in life, you start identifying yourself in a very different way. So that kind of brings that together. Tell me something about self-love and dating. Are you dating?
Yes.
All right. That was a great question. Are you dating? The thing I want to say now is self-love. Have you found it difficult in dating your age bracket? People are not really loving themselves.
Yes, it is difficult to date because of that. Even in moments within yourself, like being who I am in dating, figuring out how to love myself and then someone else, with the imperfections and with all the good things that we love to make us feel good.
How about forgiveness? How hard is that in your age bracket?
Very
in
hard.
relationships? Why do you feel that way?
Because there's so many options. There's so many options. We have access to so many different people. So it's like, once you upset me, I got someone else I can talk to. Somebody's going to text you, somebody in your DM. There's always something to distract you from the reality of, I have to deal with this moment, deal with how I feel about this person, and forgive them and move forward.
So one of the things that happens in a relationship is disappointment. You are definitely going to be disappointed in a relationship, right? And sometimes severely disappointed in a relationship. And then you got to decide to forgive the person. Well, what if you find that you don't feel love anymore? What if you have, what happens when you wake up one day and you say, I don't feel love? Do you end the relationship? Do you challenge the relationship? What do you do?
I've done both, personally.
Okay.
I've done both. I've challenged myself, because I'm in a reflective state in my life now, where I'm like, what is it about me that I need to fix to handle the situation better? In times past, it's been more like, you know what? It's gone, so I'm gonna either have to come back to you later on in life, or just end it where it is, because that part that kept us together, that love is just not there.
So you think that's why relationships have just been in, a repeat cycle? You keep going back to the same person because you can't get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, do you feel the same way about that? You feel the same as Octavia?
Kind of, sort of. What I was going to touch on, one thing that she said was about when a relationship ends. Sometimes people don't even say anything; it just ghost people, and that leaves. It leaves something with you, and it leaves something with the other person. It's like you never ended stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've been ghosted or am I the ghost? Probably both. I'm pretty sure I've been the ghost most of the time. But anyway, here's something. When there is no love, when you can't find love, you have to fall back on the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
The commitment is what really going to hold you together. So love is the fruit of commitment. And what people don't understand is, whatever I say I'm going to be to you, if I be that to you, as I explore you, touching you, kissing you, just being what I said I was going to be. If I'm going to be your lover, I got to be your lover. If I'm saying I'm going to be your husband, I got to be your husband. Whatever I'm going to be to you, I got to be that to you, right? In being that, as you explore a person, you find them out. So that love can be refurbished. That desire can be refurbished. Because this thing, how did you get there in the first place? By spending time, by touching, having sex, or no sex, but touching, talking. That's how you got into love.
Friendship.
All right. So love is more than just a feeling. Love goes along with just an obedience to what you say that you're going to be. So in relationship, there's got to be a ground of understanding of commitment. Are we committed or are we playing? I guess that's a.
I get asked that question.
You get asked that question a lot. Are we committed or are you playing?
What are we?
What are we? How do you answer that?
Sometimes I don't tell the truth.
You don't tell the truth?
No, because I'm not. It might be 30 days, and I don't know. So I'm still kind of seeing where we fit, seeing what's going on. So I mean, I'm not gonna say I lied, but I don't know. So I'll just say I don't really know, or I'll try to change the subject.
Okay. That works. I guess I would probably say I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm still learning you, you know.
And sometimes what I find that if you have sex on the first date, or if you have sex in a couple of weeks, someone wants to tie that with we're in a relationship.
Unfortunately, yes.
Wow.
And that, yeah.
I'll tell you think that's true too in your age bracket?
Oh, it is, for sure.
So, go ahead.
It is in the sense of, I think we do it as women more than men do. And that's speaking from having male friends, of course, that it's expected that made us now a couple. Because I gave myself to you.
Automatic.
Yeah.
So there's no conversation about,
That is a conversation, I think.
they just ignore the conversation.
Yeah.
And you come up with your own thought life about it. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever been with a person, though, that has no understanding of self-love? They don't forgive themselves. And they make it very difficult to be in a relationship because they're always doubting themselves. They're always going through something. That's a word, that's the thing I want to say. They're always in a cycle. They're always going through something. How do you guys handle that relationship when you find that person's life is very problematic and they can't figure themselves out and they rely on you to help them?
I'm gonna start. For me, I think, like, once I realize it's like, it becomes a job at that point. Like, how much investment am I willing to make? That's like a relationship is an investment. And helping you figure out all that you are is not completely my job, but if I'm committed to you, I'm committed to building you. And I think that's something that's interesting when you deal with relationships, is that we don't realize that our responsibility in the relationship is to help build them in a sense, not in every sense. Because you want someone who knows who they are or is aware of who they are. Because self-awareness is a whole other thing that people aren't now. But once you get to that point and they at least know who they are, you can help them navigate to be better.
So, Artavia, let's tell me something, the difference between your responsibility, as you say, to build your mate, and build a bear.
Okay. Building a bear is just putting stuff together, making you look good on the outside, maybe adding this piece and adding that piece. When it comes to a relationship, it's more like, what are we trying to build together? That's why I say I have to know first what kind of relationship I'm in order to put that type of investment in, because it's like, what are we trying to accomplish together?
All right, okay, I accept that. I guess my mind went on, you always want me to meet your needs, but you don't think about meeting your own needs. So that person, and it's okay to be a needy person, but what are you gonna do in return? Because if you're needy and I'm always meeting your needs, it becomes a job.
Yes.
So what are you giving me back?
Right.
If I decide to meet your needs, what are you giving me back? And then there's something else. A lot of times we end up with people who are not assertive. And so you end up taking all the responsibility. How do you feel about that?
It's stressful. It is definitely stressful.
When do you say no?
When it becomes, I have to do it,
Right.
versus me giving to you willingly. Like, I want to do this.
Okay, so why would you go deeper in terms of time? Because if I'm dating is like taking notes of the individual. That's what dating is for. It's taking notes of the understanding of the individual, right? And so if you're dating someone, when do you have enough information to say, I want to take it to the next level, and I want to see a us?
For me, it's when I find out what we are trying to build. I feel like that's an investment. I'm ready to make that investment with you, like, based on.
When you say try to build, you mean build what? Like
build
life
with them, like how family, how we want to, in terms of finances, how we want to merge certain things, what you want to be in your career, what do I want to be in my career, how can we help each other get to a certain place in life together. That comes with an investment. When it becomes a point where I am pouring into something and it's like all falling out. Like nothing is sticking with you. I tell you you're beautiful this morning, and then the next day you're like, I'm the worst person in the world. Like you build a person up to a point, and then they're still like, you know, still left at that space where they're not sure of who they are. It's like your investment ends up being wasted.
You know, one of the things I also found that men don't take, some men do not take compliments as well either. And then there's some words that are used that they can't deal with. Like, I remember being in front of the class and the teacher said, you know, you're a beautiful black man. And everybody looked at me, but I felt like Prince Charming when she said it. I'm a beautiful black man. Maybe put my chest out. When you say that to men, sometimes men get offended. But men can be a beautiful person, both internally and also externally. All right, so tell me, how do you feel about things that Octavia's been saying in terms of?
Well,
Yeah.
As far as building a person up, well, actually for me, I want to feel like we have a connection, like I'm safe with you. When I feel safe with you and I can share things with you, then I'm thinking about taking it to the next level. I want to be able to have my peace with you, be able to just be comfortable and share, because I do have a lot I want to say and talk about, and I want to be with someone that I can actually talk to them about without it being, you know, when I share, I don't want it thrown back at me, because I'm going to be sharing true stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I don't be sharing my heart with you. I trust you enough to share my heart with you,
Yeah.
and I don't want to hear about it later. If you get into an argument or something like that.
Absolutely.
I don't want you to beat me over the head with the stick I gave you.
That does
That's a
happen,
good
right?
point. That's a good point.
When do you say enough is enough, though?
I've been working on that. Sometimes I think I stay too long, and I still haven't figured out when is enough. I wish I had a clear answer for that, but for me, for the most part, I probably have tried too hard and given more chances just to see if it's going to work before I will, you know, finally make a decision.
I want to ask some of the people who are sitting out in our audience today what your mindset is or thoughts are about what we've been saying in terms of self-love and identity. Is there any thoughts that our audience probably has about self-love or identity? Any thoughts in the audience?
Okay, well, what I was thinking when we were talking about the other person not necessarily being able to have an identity and always being needy is turning it on myself and saying, what's in me that would draw someone like that in the first place?
What's in you to draw a person that's needy?
Yes, that's what I was thinking when we're talking about the person needing to always be validated or...
Can I borrow you for a second? I just need to borrow you just for a second because you said something. Yeah, I want you to come right up here. I do. I want you to come right up here and just stand right there. You don't have to move on, David. Just come right here. Just stand right here. Yep, stand right there. Let's look at the camera. Smile wonderfully. There you go. That's why. It is that you would give off a presence of, I'm confident, but I'm humble. Now, when a person says I'm humble, it means like I'm humble to accept the opportunity, I'm humble to accept the job, and I'm going to take the job and I'm going to make it work. You look like you're just going to make it work. So you would draw a person that's needy because then they feel they can depend on you.
Wow.
Right? That's just it. You exude some strength, some confidence, and some ability, and you look like you're going to be resourceful.
Man.
That was your husband. You can sit down. You look like you're going to be resourceful. That's why that's why they will look at you. Can I borrow you? Yeah.
Sure.
All right, come on. Let's just stand right here a minute. I want you to face the camera too. When women are ovulating, especially, they look for men who they believe is going to be great fathers, and so they look at men that's similar to you because they believe that what you're going to do is you're going to work hard and become the provider, and you're going to make everything all right, and you're going to shoulder everything, and you're going to walk around these principles, and you look like Jesus. So women are attracted to the hair, they're attracted to the beard, they're attracted again to what they believe, what they look for in terms of strength, right? And so you're going to be that strength, and you look like you're going to give them a whirlwind of a relationship. And they want to try it. There you go. I knew it was right. Are you easy?
Okay, cool. I like that one.
You like that one?
I like that one.
They're gonna want to try it. So what you're presenting to somebody, whether it be your representative or actually be yourself, the thing of it is, if it's a representative, there's going to be a curtain call. And if you can't hold up what you present, that's when it's going to be a problem. That's when I start questioning self-love, because you had to become very pretentious. You had to become very fake to deal, in presenting yourself. That's never you. So self-love does not exist. And then when you talk about identity, if you're coming up to me and everything about you, again, is to be impressive, you don't have an identity. Yes, sir.